What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder. Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, just dropped a major bomb. A lot of people are actually very surprised that he said this and is kind of revealing something pretty big. Now, I've said this before, but it's something to definitely keep in mind as we go into the Fantastic Four, as we go into Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday, and everything else that we're about to dive into in the multiverse saga. Marvel's going to start to do some very intentional marketing and promotions for these films. Some of them might seem like they're slip-ups or accidents, but keep in mind all of these actors have been trained in PR, specifically Marvel PR, and a lot of them talk about they've been told what to do when it comes to answering questions. So a lot of this is going to be intentional, especially when it's coming from the president of Marvel Studios. He doesn't beat around the bush when asked about this specific question either. It really seemed like he had his response locked and loaded, ready to go for when somebody asked him about this. Now, the question was asked to him by Empire, and it has to do with a big theory for that Thunderbolts post-credit scene and the Fantastic Four ship. And his response seemingly confirms a big theory that a lot of people have been talking about. Here's the theory real quick, just to give you the rundown. If you take a look at the Fantastic Four First Steps trailers and you see the spaceship that the Fantastic Four have, that spaceship, although it looks almost exactly like the spaceship in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, it's not. The ship in the trailers has 3 fins or wings or whatever you want to call them, but the ship in the post-credit scene for the Thunderbolts has 4, and this got everybody in the community talking, stating that this is not the same ship. And since that was discovered, theories have gone crazy, stating it's Doctor Doom in the ship, not the Fantastic Four, or perhaps it's the Council of Reeds. Maybe they take a play from the Secret War story and it's actually just Reed in there. And now, after all of these rumors had been going around, Kevin Feige basically confirmed this. When speaking with Empire magazine, they specifically asked him about this question, which again, I'm going to say was planned. I think they staged this question so Kevin Feige could specifically comment about it, but this is what he said. When asked if the spaceship in the post-credit scene of the Thunderbolts is the same one from the Fantastic Four First Steps, he replied with, their ship, as in the Fantastic Four ship, is the Excelsior, and there is a Fantastic Four ship entering the MCU, but I'm not sure they're the same ship. So Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, has addressed this head on. And it is very clear from the footage that we've seen, from the trailer and from the post-credit scene, they are 2 different ships. You can clearly see one has 3 fins, one has 4. And now Kevin Feige is basically saying, I'm not sure they're the same ship. Of course he knows, so basically what he's probably saying here, in his cryptic way to get people to talk about this, is they're not the same ship. But the only question is, if they are indeed a different ship, who's on this ship and who does it belong to? Well, there are several options for this that make a lot of sense, and some are really exciting, and like I mentioned, they could take a piece from the Secret War story in the comics. We have a few different options. Let's break it down. Now, the first one could be Kevin Feige could straight up be lying. They could be the same ship, but again, we can clearly see they are indeed different ships, so he's most likely not lying to us here. Also, naming the ship the Excelsior is a really cool nod to Stan Lee there, but it is also a lot more clever than you might realize, because in the comics, the Fantastic Four spaceship is primarily known as the Marvel 1, but there's an alternate universe version of the spaceship, and that is called the Excelsior. So it's very clever naming this ship the Excelsior because they are in an alternate universe. They are not in the main 616 universe. This is the multiverse saga, and it seems they are taking full advantage of that, which brings us to our next option, which is it could be Doctor Doom in this ship. Now, with this option, it's a little bit interesting because there are actually 2 different sub-options of this. It could be Doom by himself, or it could be Doom with the Fantastic Four. Go ahead and let me know in the comments if you think Doom is by himself in this ship or if he would be in there with the Fantastic Four. Now, recently they've done test screenings for the Fantastic Four, and the reports are a little conflicting. There are people online who say they saw the test screenings and they didn't see a post-credit scene. However, the Hollywood Reporter confirmed that they were at a test screening and they did see a post-credit scene. So perhaps there were a few different screenings and some of them saw post-credits and some of them didn't. perhaps the one for the press, showed the post-credits. We won't give it away in case you don't want spoilers, but basically it does allude to Doom being a part of that Fantastic Four universe. Now, the director recently came out and said that Doom is not in their story. However, directors and people from Marvel are always telling us things like this that might not necessarily be true. They don't want us to know what's going on in the movie, so they kind of just say whatever. Remember, the Russo brothers told us that Avengers Endgame wasn't titled Avengers Endgame, but we found out, of course, that it was. And of course, we'll always bring up Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. He's not the werewolf. He's not in Spider-Man No Way Home. Except he was. There's many examples of this, but basically we can't take what anybody from Marvel says at face value. They're not going to tell us the truth because they don't want to give anything away. But keep in mind, we do still have that mysterious cameo that we haven't figured out yet for the Fantastic Four First Steps. There was a person being covered up on set. The paparazzi caught a photo of them, but again, they were covered, so all they really saw were their feet. And there's a lot of guesses of who this could be, but it could be Dr. Doom. That is one very viable option. And if the world is at jeopardy, or the universe is at jeopardy in the Fantastic Four First Steps, and Doom does know Reed, and let's hope they do give him some of that backstory, like Doom and Reed going to college together, etc., it would make sense that Doom would go to Reed as soon as he found out about the Silver Surfer and Galactus. It's clearly broadcasted to everybody in the world when we see it there in the trailer. So if Doom is there in that universe, he is going to know about it. It would totally make sense that he would go to Reed being how he is, being Dr. Doom. Now, in the scenario, I think this could be a backup ship, whether that's a separate one that Doom uses by himself, or the first ship that the Fantastic Four use gets damaged by the black hole that they go in. If you didn't hear, last weekend, Marvel Studios showed a scene from the Fantastic Four First Steps at CCXP, where the Fantastic Four are in the spaceship trying to outrun the Silver Surfer, who is trying to get the son of Reed and Sue, Franklin Richards, and in order to escape the Silver Surfer, they go through a black hole. Once they get back, their ship could be in rough shape, and then they bust out this new one that has 4 fins instead of 3. It could be a newer type that Reed has been working on. Either way, it does seem like there are 2 ships, and if they are coming from the same universe and they are coming from Reed, then the Fantastic Four could be in that original one, and Doom could take this newer one. If the Fantastic Four really are gone, Doom's not just going to sit there and accept defeat. He's going to get out of there. And clearly in the trailers, we see Reed working on some type of multiversal travel. If Doom is there and he's kind of catching on to things, what Reed is doing, then he might know how to actually use the ship to leave that universe. And this could be how Doom starts his multiversal domination journey. Now, again, there is another option. Doom might not be alone. He might actually leave with the Fantastic Four. Who knows? They could be kind of on good terms in this movie. If he is in the movie, again, not confirmed at this point, but they all could be in there together. I've actually heard a lot of people talk about how they don't like the idea of the Fantastic Four simply abandoning the planet and everybody there because they can't win. I definitely see this happening, but a good way to maybe explain it could be Doom tells them that they gotta leave. They can't save anything. If they die there with their planet, with their universe, they're bailing. And they'll do so to save their son, Franklin, more than anything. So those are a few options right there. Another one, which isn't as exciting but still makes sense, is that is a backup ship, and it's simply the Fantastic Four using their backup ship, and it really is them in the post-credit scene for the Thunderbolts. They're just in a completely different ship. Totally viable option, but I do hope it's something more exciting than that, like perhaps Reed Richards alone or the Council of Reeds. Now, the reason I say that Reed might be alone and we might get the Council of Reeds here is because in Avengers Secret Wars, when Reed and his family and other characters like Spider-Man and Star-Lord and more are trying to escape the universes being destroyed, a part of the life raft that they're on breaks off and he actually loses his family. He loses everybody else in the Fantastic Four, his wife, his kids, Johnny, Ben. He tries to save them, but he comes up short. He doesn't save them. And then eventually on Battleworld, he meets Doom and sees that he basically took everything from him. Doom is married to Sue. Their children are Franklin and Valeria, his 2 kids. In a really twisted turn of events, Johnny is actually the son of Battleworld. He rebelled against Doom and Sue, and his punishment was to turn him into the son of Battleworld. And the Thing is actually essentially a giant wall surrounding Doom's castle. So if they wanted to go right into this with Avengers Doomsday, it would be really cool if Sue and the rest of the gang were actually with Doom and eventually reunited with the Fantastic Four. I don't think we're going to get that scenario until Secret Wars, but we have seen that leaked concept art that does show Doom on his throne and Sue Storm is next to him with her son, Franklin. So that does seem like it could happen in the future. This is definitely a less likely option, and a lot would have to happen for Reed to actually lose his family and get on a different ship. But I would think that Doom would be the person to leave with his family on a ship, leaving Reed behind thinking that he's dead. But it also could be the Council of Reeds as well. A lot of people are really hoping the Council of Reeds shows up in the Fantastic Four First Steps. We haven't heard any rumors or reports about this, but we do know that Reed is working on multiversal travel. And in the comics, typically when a Reed Richards discovers multiversal travel and builds the bridge, a Reed Richards from the Council of Reeds shows up and basically invites them in to be a part of the council. However, there is a catch. They have to give up everything. They have to leave their universe and their family behind. The reason that the council exists is because they are really trying to solve everything. But the main Reed in the comics denies them. He doesn't want to give up his family. The biggest reason people think that we could get the Council of Reeds in the movie is because of that mysterious cameo that has not been revealed yet. Some people think it's a Reed variant, perhaps even Johan Gruffud, who played Mr. Fantastic alongside Jessica Alba. Now, the scenario for the Council of Reeds showing up and them being the ones in that ship alone would be pretty extreme, but could a variant of Reed be with the rest of the Fantastic Four in that ship, like one variant of Reed? Yes, and that person could go on to become the Maker, an evil variant of Reed Richards who does play a very important role in Secret Wars in the comics. And if we think about it, we've heard reports that Doom is going to have his own team. The Maker on his team would make sense, even though the Maker in the comics goes against Doom. And if we get him in the movie, perhaps he will go against Doom eventually, but it would make sense to align himself with him at first, just to sneakily get his way. So there are a lot of options, some more exciting than the others. Let's hope it's not just a backup ship and they're on it just plain and casually. But let's hope that Kevin Feige is hinting at something bigger. Perhaps Doom is on there with them, perhaps it's Doom alone, or maybe it's something crazy like the Maker is there as well. But go ahead and let me know your thoughts about it in the comments down below, and let us know if you have any theories of your own. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news, rumors, or leaks. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.